a town of 26,000, now barely half remain. Kiryat Shmona was supposed to be the promised land. Hezbollah has spent 18 months making it uninhabitable. The ceasefire exists on paper. The IDF chief told his troops something different. There is no ceasefire, you continue to fight. And 1.2 million Lebanese go hungry waiting for peace. The northern Israeli town of Kiryat Shmona has lost nearly half its population since October 7, 2023. Israeli media figures show the town, once home to 26,000 settlers, now holds around 12,000, with thousands more reportedly weighing whether to leave the land they say was promised to them. The hollowing out of Kiryat Shmona tells a wider story. As of April 29th, Israel's health ministry says 8,513 people have been wounded since the launch of Operation Roar of the Lion, with 612 of those injuries recorded on the northern front bordering Lebanon. 16 new cases were reported in the 24 hours prior to the ministry's update. The IDF Chief of Staff Ayal Zamir visited troops stationed inside southern Lebanon and made clear the military's position.
On the combat front, there is no ceasefire. You continue to fight, to remove direct and indirect threats from the northern communities, to thwart terror infrastructure, to locate and kill terrorists.
Zamir added that Israeli forces would not withdraw from the security buffer zone in southern Lebanon until what he called long-term security for northern Israeli communities is in place. The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, brokered by Washington and in effect since midnight local time in Lebanon and Israel on April 17th, was extended for 3 weeks on April 24th. Cross-border fire has continued regardless. Reports suggest that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked the US President Donald Trump to put a 2 to 3 week deadline on peace talks with Beirut, and to greenlight a large-scale offensive if those talks collapse. Trump reportedly told Netanyahu to restrain himself, warning against any action that could unravel the ceasefire.
I told Netanyahu that Israel must attack Hezbollah more surgically inside of Lebanon, because knocking down buildings is too terrible and makes Israel look bad.
Trump, meanwhile, took aim at Tehran directly, blaming both Iran and Hezbollah for what he called the ruination of Lebanon, while leaving the door open for the country's recovery.
When Iran gets taken out, Hezbollah automatically gets taken out.
On the other hand, the Lebanese caught in the middle of a war that is not even theirs do not have the option of leaving. For the country's 1.24 million people now facing food insecurity in the months ahead, the ceasefire is a matter of life and death. The Israeli military detonated what it called the largest Hezbollah tunnel ever found in southern Lebanon on April 28th. The explosion was so powerful that it triggered earthquake alerts across northern Israel. The tunnel was located near the Lebanese village of Kontara, and the IDF did something unusual before setting it off. Hours before the blast, residents across a wide stretch of northern Israel, from Rosh Hanikra on the Mediterranean coast all the way east to the Golan Heights, received a direct warning from the military. The message told them, in plain language, what was coming.
In several hours, IDF Northern Command will destroy a large weapons infrastructure that was located during the war and prepared for detonation in recent days. Communities near the blast zone will receive separate instructions. However, the echoes of the explosion may be heard throughout the Galilee and even in the Golan Heights.
At 5:30 in the evening, residents of Misgav Am, Manara, Margaliot, and Metula were told to stay indoors and away from large windows. In Kiryat, Shmona, and Kfar Giladi, people were advised to open their windows to reduce damage from the blast wave. The mayor of Kiryat Shmona, Avichai Stern, personally urged residents to stay away from windows and balconies. Then, at 6:03 p.m., the ground shook. The Geological Survey of Israel's alert system registered it as a seismic event. Independent earthquake warning systems in schools and private institutions fired off their sirens. The Energy and Infrastructure Ministry confirmed the detection shortly after. This was not the first time an IDF detonation in Lebanon set off earthquake alerts in Israel. A similar incident had happened before. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the destruction of the tunnel directly, and his language left little room for interpretation.
They blew up a massive Hezbollah terror tunnel today. We are destroying their terror infrastructure, we are killing dozens of their militants, and more is yet to come. We are operating within the security zone, south of the Litani, north of the Litani, in the Bekaa, in northern Lebanon. And a few weeks ago, I instructed a special project to eliminate the drone threat. It will take time, but we will take that down as well.
A ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon was agreed to on April 16th and extended by 3 weeks just days ago. And yet, the Prime Minister of Israel is publicly describing active military operations across multiple regions of Lebanon, including north of the Litani River, well beyond the agreed buffer zone, and pledging to continue them. Israel began its ground and air campaign in Lebanon on March 2nd, following Hezbollah strikes into Israel in retaliation for an attack in Iran that killed Hezbollah's supreme leader. Since then, more than 2,500 people have been killed, and over 1 million have been displaced. Less than 24 hours after a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah officially took hold, Israel struck. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out multiple strikes in southern Lebanon, targeting what it called Hezbollah operatives who had, in its words, violated the ceasefire understandings. One operative was killed in a drone strike while traveling on a motorcycle between the southern Lebanese towns of Kunain and Beit Yahoun. Then, Israeli forces hit a Hezbollah tunnel shaft after spotting militants entering it. Artillery fire followed in support of ground troops still operating several kilometers deep inside Lebanese territory. The IDF was direct about its position.
Actions of self-defense and the removal of threats are not limited by the ceasefire.
Now, that's a significant line, because just a day earlier, President Donald Trump had said Israel was prohibited from bombing Hezbollah targets. A US official then walked that back, clarifying that while offensive operations were off the table, defensive strikes against planned, imminent, or ongoing attacks were still permitted under the terms of the deal. Israel also disclosed that just minutes before the ceasefire took effect Thursday night, its elite Shaldag unit had seized control of a strategic ridge north of Mount Hermon, a last-second land grab, approved personally by IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, carried out as the clock ran down. Meanwhile, Hezbollah is not staying quiet. Naim Qassem, the group's Secretary General, issued a blunt warning this weekend. He said the resistance fighters would remain in the field.
A ceasefire means a complete halt to all hostile acts, and because we do not trust this enemy, the resistance fighters will remain in the field with their fingers on the trigger, and they will respond to violations of aggression accordingly. There is no ceasefire by the resistance alone. It must be by both sides. We will not accept a repeat of the 15 months of patience toward Israeli aggression while waiting for diplomacy that achieved nothing.
Senior Hezbollah official Mahmoud Kamati echoed that defiance at a press conference in Beirut's southern suburbs, dismissing Lebanon's planned direct talks with Israel as
a failure, weak, defeated, and submissive negotiations. The resistance is the one that imposes. We are the land, and we are the ones who draw up the decisions.
Meanwhile, Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam were on Saturday preparing for what would be the first direct negotiations with Israel in decades, a moment Hezbollah wants no part of. The ceasefire is holding, just barely. Israel is striking, Hezbollah is warning, and Lebanon, caught between the two, is trying to negotiate a future that neither side seems ready to let it have.